Review today. RRR. I know we keep saying we're talking about the Manti Te'o thing, but we'll do that next week solely because of the fact that there is actually nothing coming out next week. So we're gonna have to collect it. We're gonna have to collect the. You haven't watched it?
No, I lived it.
Fascinating. Actually, like very heartbreaking.
Yeah,
very very heartbreaking. It's like not tough to get through, but you're like, God damn. We'll talk about that next week. We'll try to find some other like little things we can talk. Maybe Vengeance. That might be a good one for us to talk about. Because I know Vengeance. I think you can watch Vengeance on streaming. Have you guys seen? I Love My Dad.
No, I didn't know what it was until I watched the Red Letter Media review for it. I'm sure they didn't plan this.
It might be a good pair with the Manti Te'o documentary.
You just took that from. I was just about to be like, it's so bizarre that it dropped immediately, either before the Manti Te'o documentary.
Yeah, maybe we'll do that. All right,
based on this true story too.
Yeah, it's based on his life, which is crazy. RRR, Indian movie, Tollywood, which not Bollywood. Tollywood, different. This is in a different language in India, Telugu, which I was going to mention this earlier. Apparently, there either hasn't been or it hasn't. Typically, when India promotes or picks their one movie for the international movie at the Oscars, it's typically in Hindi, so it's a Bollywood movie typically. So that's why some people think this movie may not get the Oscar pick. But it's been such a phenomenon, it would be kind of crazy if it wasn't. India's had a massive year in cinema, just a huge year with some of their big movies of all time coming out this year. This is one of them. This is on Netflix, but it also made money in the U.S. It came out in theaters in the United States. Most of the people in this movie would be people who are Indian actors, but there is going to be one face I think many would recognize, Ray Stevenson. He is in the movie playing a pretty perfect role.
The Punisher.
Yeah, pretty perfect role in this movie. It's not a real story, fictitious story. I'm reading the synopsis now. Two legendary revolutionaries. One of the characters, Beam. I'm going to go by last names, the easiest way to possibly pronounce these so I don't mess up pronunciation. This is an LCD disaster, Ken Jack. This movie, trying to pronounce things. This one's like right up our alley of mispronouncing everything. But Beam, a tribal leader and an independence activist, Raju, and their journey away from home. Upon returning, they began fighting for their country's independence against British colonialists in the 1920s. 3-hour long movie, but could have been longer. This movie is fucking insane. It features everything that you could want in like multiple movies in one movie. The fucking dance numbers. One of the dance numbers you may recognize went very viral, mostly for the dance, like the hook step dance they do in the video. Probably one of the best scenes in the movie. It's incredible. This movie is just like everything, at least for me, you want from a movie. Like, it just really is. Like, it is big, it's bold, it tells a great fucking story, and it doesn't lose any of the charm and like the emotion of the characters through how crazy and big the action sequences are. I think the one thing that people may say about it would probably be the look of the movie. Some of the CG is not the greatest in the world, but I don't really give a shit about that. Like, I don't care about that in this whatsoever. Like, it doesn't bother me. The action scenes, the way they're shot, are fucking incredible. There's so much slow motion, and I had no problem with any of it because it's all done really well. Like, the actions are all shot very wide, big scope. You can see everything. This movie is fucking unbelievable. I watched it like 3 times now. It's fucking amazing. Top 5 of the year for me. I cannot get enough of this movie. I fucking love this thing. 89 out of 100. I know, Kendrick, you're very close beyond that. You saw that long before I did. I love this shit. This is fucking, like, to call it a phenomenon is like perfect. It is fascinating in like the best way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember when this movie dropped, I guess in India, like there's a decent amount of at least my followers that know that like I follow in a lot of Indian movies and everything like that. And they were all tweeting at me, DMing me constantly like, hey, go watch RRR, go watch it, it's amazing. And like I went, and I mentioned this earlier, I wanted to see it in a theater really badly because of just the action spectacle it was supposed to be. It's waited too long for it to be in Telugu, and it fed out of field theaters. But I watched it on Netflix on the biggest screen I could, which was just my TV in my living room. But man, it was so good. It's one of those things where you don't totally know what to expect going, because it's not like there's trailers for this movie out everywhere. It's like you don't have any real preconceptions. So I watched it, and man, it's just so goddamn entertaining from top to bottom. Just beyond the action sequences, there's just like good drama, good laughs, great dancing, which is always present in Indian movies, and there's just so much to love about it. And I think the combination duo of the two main actors were phenomenal. I think a lot of the pacing of this movie I thought was excellent, because it is long. It is very long, but it has like 15 climaxes throughout the movie. Like it goes up and down, up and down, up and down. Like there's like 15 moments that could be any other movie's climax, and it's just like another bump in the road for these guys. And I think that rocked. A lot of the bigger set pieces were really cool, like the fight on the bridge, the big fight in like the compound, the ones in like the woods. Like I thought they all looked great. Like in so many scenes in it were like, you might think in your brain like, oh, this is ridiculous or silly, but because it's the nature of the movie, you think it's awesome. Like the scene where Ray Stevenson grabs the gun in midair after the car crashes and shoots the dude's car. Like that shit would be ridiculous if it happened in like a fucking DC whatever Marvel movie, but like it happens in this, and you're just like, hell yeah, that rocks. That's so cool. Like, and I think there's so much to love in this movie, and there's a little bit of everything, which makes it good for anyone. You know what I mean? Like it gives you the action. Like I said before, it has like 15 genres in this movie, so many exciting moments, and just it's a blast, man. I'd recommend it to basically anyone.
We'll talk about a couple of the different, because there's a bunch of like big chunk fight or action sequences or dance scenes. We can talk about it more in a second. Chris, I have no idea what you'll think of this movie. I couldn't even throw a dart on what I think you'd even think about this.
I was not aware that this was a cultural phenomenon. I hadn't heard of it until yesterday.
And it's done well here too.
Mm-hmm. Really? Like define well, like top 5 at the box office.
So it's now actually, it just got bumped down. There's a newer movie in India which I need to find a way to watch it. This just got bumped down from second highest gross movie ever in India down to 3, but it's done well in theaters here, and it's done well on Netflix. Big reason, again, some of the stuff has gone viral for sure. That's helped kind of put eyeballs in the movie in the country. And now, I mean, it's not fucking Avatar. It's not Avengers Endgame.
Right, of course.
Yeah, picking up steam.
This is the closest I think I've ever come to experiencing what it's like to be on hard drugs. Because I turned on this movie, and okay, subtitles, whatever. And I kind of get a basic movie's about. And then I didn't. And then there's a fucking train crash, and there's slow coming out. Like Zack Snyder would watch this movie and be like, "Wow, this is ridiculous. Like you guys got to chill it with the slow mo."
But the slow mo in this is, come on, tell me the slow mo in this is not better. And I like Zack Snyder, but the slow mo in this is like, I think it's significantly easier to digest than Zack Snyder's slow mo.
Slow mo. It padded 30 minutes to the runtime, so it didn't really, it didn't have much impact on me. And then there was a shitty looking CG tiger, and then somebody got married, and then there was a dance sequence and a musical sequence, and so it's like, I just think what it comes down to is that all the things you guys are using as pros, I view as cons. I thought this was completely
even the musical numbers, like it's not just one.
They were well done, but they were entirely out of place. The first one was 50 minutes into the movie. The title doesn't show up until, and I checked that out too. I've never seen a movie.
15 titles, by the way, title cards. It's amazing.
That's right. No, but the official RRR is not like till 40 minutes. And dude, I'm sorry. The biggest issue is that what you guys are saying, like, I could ironically like this movie if you cut its runtime down by 60%. But dude, this movie, I cannot stress this enough, is 3 hours and 5 fucking minutes. That is lunacy. I mean, that is a longer runtime than the Batman. And so I'm watching this, and it just kept going and going and going and going. I had to sit there. It took me 2 days to finish this. And every time it felt like the movie was getting longer and longer. It felt like it was extending its runtime every time. And I guess in terms of memeability and like just its overall weirdness. I understand why people are connecting with it, but I have a hard time saying that like it's, objectively coherent. It's completely all over the place. Now,
I gotta disagree on one thing you
ways
say
that will work for people.
I don't think so. If you don't like it, that's fine. I won't go at you on that. I don't agree on the fact that the musical numbers were out. I think they all fit the story perfectly. Like I think if you see what they're talking about, what they're saying through something, like it fits the story. That's how movies are made in India. That's part of what happens in these movies. Like I think it fits the story fine. I don't think any of them are out of place. I think they moved the narrative long, yes. But I don't think it was like, oh, what the fuck was that random musical number? Like I thought they fit the story perfectly fine.
It felt random when you are 50 minutes into a movie and they decide to break out in song. It's like if the first musical sequence in West Side Story was the Tonight Quintet. Let me ask you, this is the thing, Chris, now.
Was this the first Indian movie you've watched? Like the movie produced in India, not based in India?
I would say probably. Yeah.
Okay, so it's a standard practice in basically every movie that gets made, and like that's something where it's like you're almost waiting for the musical number, even though it's not billed to you as a musical.
That's fair, but like the one that, and I know it's technically, I think it's made by a British director, but it's an homage to Indian cinema. But like Slumdog Millionaire ended with the music, the dance sequence.
Which Kendrick, you may know better than me. Wasn't that movie not like panned, but it wasn't as beloved in India because they said like there weren't enough musical numbers. They were like, it's just kind of at the end. Like it wasn't a Bollywood movie in that sense, or a which would have been a Bollywood movie, I guess.
Yeah, it's just straight up English movie with a homage to India, despite being setting.
It had the dance sequence at the end. I remember there was pushback because the main characters kiss at the end of the movie. That was something that at the time, at least, I don't know, maybe 15 years later, it's frowned upon. So I mean, look, it's where like a rating to me is irrelevant here because and it's why I'm glad to do this show with you guys because I find the different perspectives very interesting. I do think there will be a generation of people who will get high, watch this on Netflix and lose their minds because it's so crazy, bombastic, and all over the place. And then there will be someone like me who's a stick in the mud who's gonna just sit down and watch it and sit through 3 hours and say what the fuck was that every 5 minutes. Now, I mean, it will fit for multiple camps there, and I think it will make for an interesting experience. I was not aware of what this thing was before I came in. Maybe I should have done a little bit more research. I don't know, but even beyond that, look, even despite my qualms and criticisms, really the big thing is like 3 hours for this is just insane. Like that was the big issue. Is I don't think it's an awful story. I think it's told kind of bizarrely, obviously. But I don't think that the story is interesting enough to warrant its runtime. And that is probably the biggest complaint I have with nowadays is the way that they're paced. And this thing just, wow.
I'm going to throw you on some big time Bollywood movies later, like ones that I think you'll enjoy that still have the musical numbers. There's Kabu Gashi Kabi Gam. There's Main Hu Na. You'd like, that's like Back to School with like a little bit of a secret agent twist to it. I think you'd really dig it. It's very, very, there's a whole bunch that I think like more people should watch because like they have that same sort of feeling as this movie where it's like every one of them has this super bombastic feel to it. It's like you're watching like some troupe perform like almost in the street or something. It's like insane how just up in the air it is, and that's what I kind of love about their movies.
For reference, the movie KGF Chapter 2 is the newer Indian movie that came out that is now like an even bigger deal in India. Sequel to a 2018 movie. Gooch, what'd you think?
Chris, were you disappointed because it wasn't a pirate movie?
No, not this time.
Had to get that one off. I loved it. You know what it felt like? It felt like I was like 8 years old watching WWE again. It's like it's just cheesy, over the top, but like it's just awesome. Like the opening sequence where he's just running through like 1,000 people when he's underneath that pile, and that I love that shot actually. When he's underneath the pile, it shows him like grabbing hands and like poking people's hands to get free. Like, love that. The friendship montage, 45 minutes in, it goes on for about 10 minutes, and they're like riding a horse and riding a motorcycle together, just doing all that. Like they're doing squats with each other on their shoulders. Like, it's dudes. The genre is dudes rock, like,
big time.
It's just incredible. It just keeps going and delivering. Like he uses a tiger as a fucking weapon.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just incredible. Ginny was the weakest character. Did not care for Ginny. Didn't like her name right off the bat. The comedy at points when it tries to be funny, I don't think it works. Like when it's
inadvertently fun humor is better than the actual
inadvertently fun stuff. I give it a 90. Just like it's just was a, like you said, Jeff. It's a must see. Like there's no way to really explain. Like if you tried to explain it without showing somebody like clips from it, it wouldn't work. Like there's no way to like sell this movie properly without just seeing what it is. God, there's so many funny parts. Like they're swinging with the bridge scene when they like they just look at each other and they immediately every time they do
hand signals and they figure the entire thing out. It's incredible.
I also the bridge scene, the fact that you got one of them holding the Indian flag, the other saving a kid, and it perfectly describes the movie. Someone going for the kids, someone going for country. They combine like I'm not saying it's got this crazy deep meaning, but like there's clearly some like imagery they're trying to show there. I love that. There's a scene. Would you have stood up in the theater when he fucking drifts with the truck and all the animals jump out?
Yeah. Oh yeah, dude.
Holy fuck!
That was better than Avengers Assemble.
It was insane. It was insane. I think it was better executed than the Ultron one.
And they all just come flying out at the exact same time. He's jumping out with the torch. Like it rocks. It's so cool.
The Nacho musical number is fucking unbelievable. That's the one that I did say went viral. Even if you haven't seen this movie, there might be something like, I've seen that dance everywhere.
The actual closing fight where they go like full like bow and arrows, everything in the woods with like the flaming arrows and shit. Like that was so goddamn cool. And like the slow-mo of all that, I think really works. It really aids a lot of the sort of dramatic and bombastic effect of it. And I get where it would be tiring, Chris, for sure.
The fucking bow and arrow shot, slow-mo with the fire.
Dude.
Oh,
the one where he shoots the bow and arrow at a guy and you think it misses because it hits a tree and it like lands right in front of his eye. And then he comes up and he kicks the bow and arrow into the guy's head like, through the tree.
Yep.
He picks up a motorcycle just with one arm.
Yeah, just head. The movie is so goddamn.
It's like they both took like super soldier serum.
Exactly, but that's what's so great about it. It is the definition of over the top, which is
I actually wonder if Chris watched more like Tollywood Bollywood movies, if he would go back and watch this. Because I will say, it's a completely different it fits the style of type of movie that you would watch more. They're not all like this. Like again, the movie I just talked about, the KGF Chapter 2, like that looks different than this, but like it has that same feel. Like it is big. It is like it's bombastic. I use that word recently. I'll use it again. It's full of dance numbers. I'm just like it fits that style of movie from there. Which I'm not saying you factor it into like how you like it. Like if you don't like that style, you don't like that style. But it is a big thing. Why? So I'm curious if you watch more indie movies, which Kenjack would be the guy to suggest to you. I don't know if you'd go back and like him. I don't know.
There's somewhere I think you'd like him. It's just like it'll be an experimentation.
I also love that like Raj's hair was just perfect no matter what.
Dude, he was hot as fuck. That actor was so goddamn hot. It was crazy.
Perfectly groomed the whole movie.
Yeah. You know what I'll start you on is I'll start you on Shah Rukh Khan movies because he's basically the Leonardo DiCaprio of India, except he's like 50 million times richer than Leonardo DiCaprio. Wow. Like insane levels of wealth he has. I wonder what it is. It's definitely like very close to $1 billion, which is like is insane for any actor here. Yeah. In the United States anyway. But I'll start you off. I'll give you a little list of ones you might like.
Oh my God. Just keep them under 3 hours.
I need to see more. I need to see more of Raja and Beam together. Like, I would love for them to figure out a way to like Raja and Beam versus the Nazi Empire. I don't know how they do it, but like, it was just so ridiculous. Like, I would buy in immediately to like something like that because it's just so over the top. And once you're sold on that, and the movie itself was very self-aware of how ridiculous it was and executed on that. Like, it wasn't. Like Jeff said, it never really took me out of the movie because it was all sold together as just kind of monotonous. Like it made sense when it was happening. I don't know.
Dude, it's Shah Rukh Khan. It's $750 million net worth for an actor. That's insanity.
That is nuts. Yeah, it has a lane. It finds its lane, and it never leaves that lane. It's a lot. It's crazy. It's a fucking crazy movie in like the best way possible.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god!
I wonder who the richest here is. The Rock. He's worth like as an equal level as The Rock, and The Rock has all those other side ventures. I mean, Shah Rukh Khan just basically acts and does a few other things. That's crazy.
When they're escaping from the prison and he throws Raja on his shoulders and they're just running, he's just running around and Raja's got 2 guns. He's like dual wielding akimbos.
Yep, dude, it's so fucking funny. I love that movie. I love it.
Oh my god. This is good because like this is so much better than reviewing something dumb, which there's not very many good things out right now. This was such a good idea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the movie's great too, and like it's accessible. Like everyone can watch it. It's on Netflix, so
yeah, it is on Netflix again. Reminder, so you can go watch it there. But man, I wish I would have seen this on a big fucking screen.
Yeah,
like
too.
just and also you can if you want to. There are clips online of people watching this in India in the theater, and the way people react to it is fucking awesome. Like if people go nuts. Also, the Dragon Ball theater reactions are crazy too. By the way, I went back and watched those.
Yeah, ridiculous.
They're million-ass theaters, you know it.
You got like people standing up in front of the theater before the show, like going like, "Lend me your power."
Do a full ass spirit bomb.
Oh my god.
That's RRR. Go check it out on Netflix. It's crazy. It's just fucking nuts. And also, I will always laugh at he's not an American actor, but I always laugh at like a recognizable actor, like an English speaking actor in movies like this, and that cracks me up with race.
Dude, what's her name? The girl from that is the Nazi woman from Raiders of the Lost Ark. No, the third one, Last Crusade. That's like the Nazi lady who sleeps with both Indiana Jones and Sean Connery. And later, I forget what happens to her, but she definitely dies. Oh, she falls down. She falls in the crack when like the earthquake happens at the end of the movie. That was the wife in RRR.
It reminded me of the movies you reviewed with Donnie that one time with like Adrian Brody.
Oh, Dragon Blade.
Wolf Warrior 2 was awesome, but Dragon Blade was like mind-blowingly bizarre.
Wasn't Fat Buddies?
Fat Buddies was also very fun.
We did The Mermaid too.
Yeah. The Mermaid.
The Mermaid was crazy. But no, yeah, Adrian Brody and then John Cusack, good friend of Barstool Sports, was in.
Shout out White Sox Dave.
Dragon Blade. Wasn't there like a kid that just screamed relentlessly in that movie?
Oh, the kid's name was like Lucas or something, or Lucian, I forget. But that kid all he did was yell the entire movie. It was so annoying.
Oh my god. Okay.
I wish I had a friend like that. God.
A friend like Roger and yeah, me too. Someone that I could just rescue children with, or like throw off a burning building,
fake falls in the dance contest.
Yeah, dude. That dance was awesome too, especially because they had the British dudes trying to imitate it and they sucked at.
Yeah.
He's like the flamenco.
It's a dude's rock movie. It's also the Brits suck movie. They really dump on the Brits.
That's what makes it so good too. Is that it's like one of the number one British people suck movie.
Yeah,
they really yeah. If you're British, maybe look away. Get made fun of relentlessly.
Beating in that movie.
That's it. So next week I think Vengeance. Maybe we'll do. Let's do I Love My Dad and The Man Thy Tale. But we can also, if you haven't seen Vengeance, make sure you watch Vengeance. Vengeance is like one of my favorite year.